only good things come from there. Now, onto a unique art practice. This Africa Month sees an exhibition that explores the nuanced relationship between storytelling, materiality, and cultural memory. Soon, a roundtable panel discussion will be held delving into this body of work with a focus on decolonization, development, and the aesthetic and cultural significance of the straw mat as displayed in the artwork. Tsalwa, the materiality of stories, is phenomenal artistic offering expressed through a medium traditionally used in many African homes. Trendz live producer Didi Mokeleti was at the UNISA Arts Gallery to learn more about art pieces that were made from handcrafted grass straw.
Space depicting various African narratives through straw painting. Contemporary South African artist Fumani took me on a journey about how he transforms what seems an insignificant medium into a powerful African artistic expression. Born in Tomo in Guyana, Fumani shares endearing tales about the grass straw mats.
I was born on the grass mat due to the lack of resources and the lack of service delivery, because the hospital, there was only one hospital that needed to be accessed by 6 villages. So my mother, at the time she needed to give birth, the grass mat was the only material that was available by that time. And then not knowing that when time comes, I'll be an artist. The grass mat, it served the purpose to sleep on, to pray on. When you go to pay lobola, each tribe or each culture here in South Africa, we have the patterns that represent Batsonga people, the patterns that represent the Zulu people, the Swati people, and the Ndebele people.
This mode of art, especially the canvas, that has been used here, it's quite revolutionary in its sense. When you have this form of canvas being the first being introduced, with such deep meaning, instilled into it, which speaks not to anyone except us, the Africans. It actually takes your mind further back and it wants you to reimagine of what could have been lost. And as us, as Africans, because we've lost quite a lot, this is one of those moments that recaptures and brings to life, and has capacity and the potential to bring to life what was lost, in ways of making us imagine how the past looked like and how we can actually use it to move forward.
The process of creating these art pieces is a rather cumbersome but worthwhile one. He depicts nostalgic narratives of land, home, and his rural communal life, where grandmothers used to gather straws or reeds from fields afar and wide. In Xitsonga, the straw mat is called chiteve. It's also recognized across southern Africa under various names in other cultures as Lekgokgo, Ikansi, and Musemi. This exhibition is a nostalgic encounter for gallery enthusiasts.
It takes me back home when I'm looking at this piece. What I think of, it's my homestead back in Limpopo. This reminds me of my grannies during that time when they would the milling processes of corn and stuff. This takes me back to that era where our grannies used to process corn in a way to produce milli meal. I feel like I'm tasting the food as I'm talking to you right now.
How would you say the straw mat is significant as a vessel that unites us as Africans?
It's tied together. The details and the knitting into the straw mat creates a very wonderful metaphor of how something as innocent and disassociated like straws can be weaved together to produce something that is so beautiful. It's actually breathtaking, because it plays, it takes one into particular spaces in the imaginary, which are not necessarily, it's not easy to express except that deep sense of feeling of familiarity. Some have color, some are just charred, they're just dark. And all of them tends to play in one's memory in a real, it creates a presence, especially on this fabric, because I can identify with this as well. I have one Tsalwa, the straw, the straw made in my own home, and I can imagine I have seen moments of darkness, which is clearly captured here in some of the pieces. Strife, civil strife, suffering and pain. But at the same time, I can also see the beauty of, through color, that was also within that particular period, given our history of apartheid and so on, that much as it was a very troubled time, there were also moments of joy which are beautifully expressed through color.
As a Tsonga man from Limpopo, I decided to tell the story the way it is. Charity begins at home.
Memoirs of deep historical and cultural preservation, all framed beautifully to reignite various emotions about our Africanness. Who would have thought painting on straw and reeds could bring forth such a thought-provoking and culturally